The champagne flute trembled slightly in my hand as I stood at the edge of the ballroom, watching Manhattan's elite swirl past in designer gowns and tailored tuxedos. I didn't belong here. My dress was borrowed, my jewelry fake, and my invitation had come through. My employer, I was here to work, not to mingle. More canapes for table 7. My manager's voice crackled through my earpiece. I nodded to no one in particular and headed toward the kitchen, my sensible heels clicking against marble floors that probably cost more than my annual salary. This was my life now, serving the wealthy at their charity galas, corporate events, and exclusive parties. At 26, I'd imagined something different for myself, but New York had a way of humbling your dreams. Excuse me, the voice stopped me mid-stride. It was low, confident, and carried an accent I couldn't quite place. Something European, refined. I turned. She stood backlit by the chandelier, and for a moment I forgot to breathe. Tall, with sharp cheekbones and dark hair pulled back in an elegant chignon, she wore a midnight blue gown that probably cost more than my rent for a year. But it was her eyes that held me, deep brown, intelligent, and fixed on me with an intensity that made my skin flush. Yes, I managed, suddenly aware of how plain I must look in my catering uniform. You dropped this. She held out a small notepad, my order pad, which must have slipped from my apron pocket. Oh, thank you. I reached for it, and our fingers touched briefly. The contact sent an unexpected jolt through me. You're welcome. She paused, glancing at my name tag. Maya, and you are. The words escaped before I could stop them. You didn't ask the guests their names. You smiled, nodded, and disappeared. A slight smile curved her lips. Curious, I like that. She extended her hand. Valentina Rousseau. The name hit me like cold water. Rousseau, as in Rousseau Technologies, as in one of the wealthiest families in the world. I'd seen her brother Sebastian's face plastered across business magazines, the billionaire tech mogul who'd inherited their father's empire, which meant this woman. You're Sebastian's sister, I said stupidly. I am. Her smile widened, but something flickered in her eyes, something that looked almost like loneliness, though I do try to be more than just that. I didn't mean, it's fine. She waved a dismissive hand, and I noticed she wore no wedding ring, just a simple platinum band on her right index finger. You should get back to work. I've kept you long enough. She turned to leave, and I should have let her go, should have returned to the kitchen, forgotten the encounter, finished my shift, but something made me speak. It must be exhausting. She stopped, turning back slowly. What must be, being everyone's idea of you before you even open your mouth? For a long moment, she just looked at me. The noise of the gala seemed to fade, the orchestra, the laughter, the clinking of glasses, until it was just us in that vast, glittering room. Yes, she said softly, it is. I didn't expect to see Valentina Rousseau again. Women like her didn't remember women like me. We were part of the scenery, the invisible hands that kept their world running smoothly. But 3 days later, I received a call from an unknown number. Maya Chen. The voice was crisp, professional, female. Yes, my name is Caroline. I'm Ms. Rousseau's personal assistant. She'd like to invite you to dinner tomorrow evening at Lumiere. A car will collect you at 7. I nearly dropped my phone. I'm sorry, what? Dinner, tomorrow at 7. Do you accept? My mind raced. This had to be a mistake, or a joke, or why? I asked bluntly. There was a pause. Ms. Rousseau said you'd asked that. She said to tell you she'd like to continue your conversation from the gala. We barely had a conversation. Nevertheless, shall I confirm your attendance? I should have said no. Every instinct screamed that this was a bad idea. Rich people didn't invite caterers to dinner at restaurants where the waiting list was 6 months long. This was bizarre, potentially dangerous, definitely complicated. Yes, I heard myself say. I accept. The line went dead. The car that arrived was a sleek black Mercedes, and the driver held the door open like I was someone important. I'd agonized over what to wear, finally settling on the only decent dress I owned, a simple black sheath that had seen me through job interviews and rare dates. Lumiere was everything I'd imagined: soft lighting, hushed conversations, waiters who moved like dancers. Valentina was already seated at a private table near the window, and when she saw me, she stood. She wore tailored black trousers and a cream silk blouse, elegant and understated. Maya, thank you for coming. Thank you for inviting me. I sat, feeling desperately out of place, though I'm still not entirely sure why you did. She poured water into my glass from a crystal carafe. You intrigued me. I'm a caterer. You're a person who saw past the surface. She leaned back, studying me. Do you know how rare that is in my world? I imagine very, beyond rare, extinct. She smiled, but it was sad. Everyone wants something from me, Maya. An investment, a connection, a photograph, a story. But you just saw someone tired of being defined by their last name. I didn't know what to say to that, so I said nothing. Tell me about yourself, Valentina continued. The real you, not the resume version. And somehow, impossibly, I did. I told her about growing up in Seattle, about my mother who cleaned houses and my father who drove a taxi, about my scholarship to NYU, my degree in art history that proved useless in the job market, my student loans that felt like an anchor around my neck. I told her about my tiny studio in Brooklyn, my dreams of working at a museum, the slow death of hope. She listened with complete attention, asking questions, laughing at my jokes, her eyes never leaving mine. And when the food came, exquisite courses I couldn't name, I barely tasted it. I was too caught up in her presence, the way she made me feel seen in a way I hadn't felt in years. What about you? I finally asked. What's the real Valentina? Her expression shifted, became guarded. The real Valentina is complicated. Everyone's complicated. Not like this. She took a sip of wine. I'm 32 years old, Maya. I've spent my entire life in my brother's shadow, managing the family foundation while he runs the company. I went to the right schools, married the right man, divorced the right way. I've done everything expected of me, and I'm so tired I could scream. The bitterness in her voice was raw. Real, your brother seems successful, I offered carefully. Sebastian is brilliant, ruthless. He turned our father's company into an empire. She looked out the window at the Manhattan skyline. But he's also controlling, possessive. He decides where I work, who I see, what projects I fund. He says, it's protection, but it feels like a cage. Why don't you leave? She laughed, hollow. And go where? Do what? My entire identity is wrapped up in the Rousseau name. Without it, I'm nothing. That's not true, isn't it? She turned back to me, and I saw something desperate in her eyes. Tell me, Maya, when you look at me, what do you see? I should have been diplomatic. Instead, I was honest. I see someone who's forgotten she's allowed to want things for herself. The silence stretched between us, charged with something I was afraid to name. What if, Valentina said quietly, what if I told you I wanted something complicated and possibly foolish? My heart hammered against my ribs. What? She reached across the table, her fingers brushing mine. The touch sent electricity up my arm. You, she whispered. I want you. I should have pulled my hand away, should have made an excuse, called for the check, fled back to my safe, simple life. But I didn't. Instead, I turned my palm up, letting her fingers intertwine with mine. You don't know me, I said, my voice unsteady. I know enough. Her thumb traced circles on my wrist. I know you're genuine. I know you see me, not my bank account. I know that when I'm around you, I feel like I can breathe for the first time in years. Valentina, I know this is crazy, she continued, her words rushing out now. I know we're from different worlds. I know my family would lose their minds, that the tabloids would have a field day, that this could ruin both our lives. But Maya ... She squeezed my hand. I'm so tired of living safely. I'm so tired of being alone. I thought about my own loneliness, the empty studio apartment, the succession of failed relationships with people who couldn't understand my struggles, or didn't want to, the way I'd begun to believe that maybe love just wasn't in the cards for someone like me. I'm gay, Valentina said suddenly, almost defiantly. I know that might, so am I interrupted. Her eyes widened. You are, I nodded. Came out in college, lost half my family over it. The half that talks to me, pretends to forget, and keeps setting me up with their male colleagues. A laugh escaped her, genuine this time. God, we're a pair, aren't we? Your family doesn't know, I asked. They know. They just prefer to ignore it, especially Sebastian. Her jaw tightened. My ex-husband was essentially a beard, though neither of us would have admitted it at the time. We were both trying to be what our families wanted. It ended badly. How badly? Badly enough that I haven't dated anyone seriously in 3 years. Badly enough that Sebastian monitors my social life like a hawk, terrified I'll embarrass the family name again. She met my eyes, which is why this Seuss has to be a secret. At least at first. The request should have offended me, should have made me walk away. But I understood the fear behind it, the weight of family expectations and public judgment. What exactly are you proposing? I asked carefully. Dinner, coffee, conversation, getting to know each other without the weight of the world watching. She paused. And maybe more. If that's something you'd want. My body answered before my mind could. Heat flooded through me at the thought of her lips, her hands, her body against mine. Yes, I whispered. I'd want that. The affair, because that's what it was. Secretive and stolen, began the next night. Valentina sent a car to my apartment, but this time it took me to a building in Tribeca, to a penthouse I hadn't known she owned. It's my private space, she explained as she let me in. Sebastian doesn't know about it. Neither does my assistant. Just me. The apartment was beautiful but warm, filled with books and art that suggested actual taste rather than a decorator's vision. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the Hudson River, but Valentina drew the curtains as soon as I entered. Paranoid? I asked. Careful. She poured 2 glasses of wine. Telephoto lenses can reach pretty far these days. We sat on her couch, and for a while, we just talked. About books, about art, about the city and its secrets. She asked about my family, and I told her about the slow, painful estrangement, the calls that came less and less frequently, the way love could curdle into disappointment. I understand that, she said softly. My parents died when I was 25, car accident. Sebastian and I inherited everything, but we also inherited all their expectations. Sometimes I think the expectations were heavier than the money. Do you love him? I asked. Your brother? Yes, and I resent him. Both things are true. She set down her wine glass. He saved me after the divorce, gave me purpose, pulled me out of depression. But he needs to control everything, everyone. It's exhausting. You could stand up to him, could I? She laughed bitterly. With what? He controls the family trust, the foundation, everything. If I defy him, I lose it all. Would that be so bad? She looked at me for a long moment. You really don't understand what it's like, do you? To have your entire identity wrapped up in wealth and name and obligation. No, I admitted. I don't, but I understand feeling trapped. Something shifted in her expression. She moved closer, until our knees touched. I don't want to talk about Sebastian anymore, she murmured. What do you want to talk about? I don't want to talk at all. She kissed me then, and the world fell away. Her lips were soft, insistent, tasting of wine and something sweet. My hands found her hair, pulling it free from its pins, and she moaned softly against my mouth. We tumbled together on the couch, all desperate hands and breathless gasps, like teenagers instead of grown women. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, she pressed her forehead to mine. Stay, she whispered. Please, stay tonight. I stayed. The weeks that followed were a blur of stolen moments and secret meetings. I'd finish my catering shift and find a car waiting to take me to Valentina's hidden apartment. We'd make love with the curtains drawn, order takeout that we ate cold because we couldn't stop touching each other, talk until dawn about everything and nothing. She was brilliant, I discovered, funny and thoughtful and surprisingly vulnerable when the walls came down. She'd memorize my schedule, send me texts during the day, just simple things, photos of art she thought I'd like, quotes from books she was reading, questions about my life. What are you doing right now? She'd text, serving tiny quiches to people who won't eat them. I'd reply, I miss you, I'm working until midnight, I'll wait. And she would. No matter how late I finished, a car would be there, taking me to her, to us, to the only place where we could be real. But secrets have a way of becoming heavy. It was my best friend Carmen who noticed first. You're glowing, she said over brunch one Sunday. Who is she? Who's who? I asked innocently. The woman who's got you checking your phone every 5 seconds and smiling like an idiot. Carmen leaned forward. Spill. It's complicated. It's always complicated with you. Is she married? No. Closeted. Sort of. Carmen's eyes narrowed. How? Sort of. I hesitated, then told her. Not everything, but enough. Carmen's jaw dropped. A Rousseau. You're dating a Rousseau. We're not dating exactly, Maya. Do you understand how insane this is? These people are tabloid gold. If anyone finds out, no one's going to find out. Someone always finds out. Carmen grabbed my hand. I love you, but this is dangerous. For you especially. When relationships like this explode, it's never the rich person who gets destroyed. I wanted to argue, but I couldn't. Because deep down, I knew she was right. The first crack appeared 2 months into our affair. I arrived at Valentina's apartment to find her pacing, phone pressed to her ear, her face tight with anger. No. Sebastian. No, because it's my money too. I don't care what the board thinks. Fine. Fine. We'll discuss it tomorrow. She ended the call and hurled her phone onto the couch. Bad day, I asked carefully. He's impossible. She poured herself a drink scotch. Neat. A bad sign. I wanted to fund a new arts program for underprivileged kids. Sebastian says it's not on brand for the foundation. Not on brand. As if charity is a marketing exercise. Can't you overrule him? With what authority? He's the chairman. I'm just the figure who shows up at events. She downed the scotch. Sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to start the evening like this. I went to her, wrapped my arms around her waist. It's okay to be angry. I'm always angry. She leaned into me. Except when I'm with you. You're the only thing that makes sense anymore. The intensity in her voice scared me a little. We'd been careful not to use the word love, but it hung between us, unspoken, and growing heavier. Double quotes, Valentina. I know. She kissed my temple. I know we can't do this forever. I know it's not sustainable. But can we pretend? Just for tonight. So we pretended. The end came swiftly and brutally. As these things do. We'd been careful. So careful. But someone, a doorman, a driver, a neighbor with a telephoto lens saw something. And 3 months into our relationship, my phone exploded with notifications. The first message was from Carmen. Call me now. Then my mother. What have you done? Then numbers I didn't recognize. Journalists requesting comment. Tabloid reporters offering money for my story. With shaking hands, I opened the news app. The headline screamed at me. Rousseau heiress in secret affair with caterer. She makes me feel alive. Below it, photos. Valentina and me entering her building. Valentina and me through her window, embracing. Valentina and me at a small cafe we'd once thought was safe. My stomach turned to ice. I called her immediately. She answered on the first ring. Maya, have you seen it? Yes. Her voice was hollow. Sebastian's on his way over. The PR team is already drafting statements. They want to call it a brief friendship. Say the photos are taken out of context. A friendship. Anger surged through me. That's what you're going to say. That I was just a friend. What else can I say? She sounded desperate now. If I confirm it, the media will destroy you. They'll dig into your life, your family, everything. At least this way. This way you protect yourself and throw me to the wolves. That's not fair. None of this is fair. I was shouting now. You knew this could happen. You knew from the beginning that when this fell apart, I'd be the one who paid the price. Please, she whispered. Please don't do this. We can figure it out. We can. Please what? Please let you deny me. Please let you pretend I meant nothing. Tears streamed down my face. Did I mean anything, Valentina? Or was I just your rebellion? Your way of feeling free for a few months? You meant everything. Her voice broke. You mean everything. Then prove it. Tell them the truth. Tell them you're in love with me. The silence stretched for an eternity. I can't, she finally said. Maya, I can't. My family, the foundation, everything we've built, everything you've built on lies. I felt something inside me shattered. Goodbye, Valentina. I hung up. Before she could respond. The next week was hell. I lost my job. Catering company didn't want the controversy. My landlord received offers from tabloids to let them photograph my apartment, and though he refused, he suggested I might want to move somewhere quieter. My phone never stopped ringing. Carmen let me stay with her, but even she couldn't protect me from the onslaught. The tabloids painted me as a gold digger, a social climber who'd seduced a lonely heiress. They dug up my student loans, my family history, my previous relationships. They made me into a character, a villain in someone else's story. And Valentina released a statement through her lawyers. Ms. Rousseau maintains friendships with people from all walks of life. The recent speculation is unfounded and invasive. She requests privacy during this difficult time. People from all walks of life. As if I were interchangeable with any other charity case she'd decided to befriend. I didn't cry. I was too angry to cry. 2 weeks after the story broke, there was a knock on Carmen's door. She looked through the peephole, then turned to me with wide eyes. It's her. My heart stopped. Don't open it, Maya, please. Just don't. But Carmen opened it anyway, because she was Carmen and she believed in second chances. Valentina stood in the doorway, and she looked terrible. Her hair was pulled back messily. She wore no makeup, and her eyes were red-rimmed and hollow. Maya, she said, please, I need to talk to you. You need to leave, I said, not looking at her. 5 minutes, that's all I'm asking. You've said enough through your lawyers. That wasn't me. She took a step inside, and Carmen quietly excused herself to her bedroom. Sebastian wrote that statement. I never approved it, but you didn't deny it either. I was scared. She moved closer. I was terrified of losing everything, my family, my work, my life, but then I lost you, and I realized none of that matters. I finally looked at her. What are you saying? I'm saying I held a press conference this morning. She pulled out her phone, showing me a video. In it, Valentina stood behind a podium, flanked by microphones, looking directly into the cameras. I pressed play. I'd like to address the recent speculation about my private life. Video. Valentina said, the truth is simple. I fell in love with an extraordinary woman named Maya Chen. She's brilliant, compassionate, and real in ways I'd forgotten people could be. Our relationship wasn't a friendship, it was love. And, in my cowardice, I denied her. I denied us. She paused, and I could see her hands shaking even on the small screen. I've spent my life meeting other people's expectations, doing what's proper, what's safe, but Maya taught me that real courage means choosing love over comfort. So I'm choosing her. I'm choosing us. And if my family can't accept that, then perhaps I was never really free to begin with. I looked up at the real Valentina, tears streaming down my face. You did this. I whispered, I did this. She knelt before me, and Sebastian fired me. From the foundation, from the board, everything. He says I've humiliated the family, destroyed our reputation. He's threatening to cut me off completely. God, Valentina, I don't care. She took my hands. None of it matters without you. The money, the name, all of it tits, just noise. You're what's real. You're what matters. What are you going to do? I don't know. She laughed through tears. For the first time in my life, I have no plan, no safety net. Just hope that you might forgive me. I pulled her up into my arms, holding her as she cried. She was shaking. This woman who'd always seemed so composed, so untouchable, but she was just human, just scared, just in love. I'm so sorry, she sobbed into my shoulder. I'm so sorry for what I put you through, for being a coward, for, stop. I tilted her face up, looked into those brown eyes that had haunted my dreams. What happens now? I don't know, she admitted. I have some money of my own. Accounts Sebastian can't touch. Enough to live on, if we're careful. I'm thinking about starting a real nonprofit, one that actually helps people, instead of just looking good in annual reports. She smiled nervously. Maybe you could help. You're the one with the art history degree. After all, that's a terrible business plan. Probably, but it's honest. She touched my face. I love you, Maya. I should have said it weeks ago. I should have shouted it from the beginning. I love you, and I want to build a real life with you. A visible life, no more hiding. It won't be easy, I warned. The media, your family, I know. But I'd rather have a difficult life with you than an easy life without you. I kissed her then, deep and long, tasting salt from both our tears. When we broke apart, we were both laughing. We're going to be broke, I pointed out. Relatively broke. I'm still a Rousseau, just a disgraced one. Your brother might come around. He might, or he might not. Either way, I'm done living for his approval. She laced her fingers through mine. So, what do you say? Want to start over? Build something real? I thought about the wreckage of the past few weeks, the job I'd lost, the privacy that was gone forever, the family members who'd stopped calling. I thought about how easy it would be to walk away, to rebuild in obscurity, to be safe. But then I looked at Valentina, looked at her, and I saw not a billionaire or a scandal or a risk, but simply the woman I loved. Flawed and scared and brave enough to lose everything for a chance at something true. Yes, I said, let's build something real. 3 months after we opened our nonprofit, the letter arrived. It came in a heavy cream envelope, the kind that screamed old money and serious business. Valentina stared at it for a full minute before opening it, her face pale. It's from Sebastian's lawyers, she said quietly. My stomach dropped. What does it say? She scanned the page, her hands trembling slightly. He's contesting our father's will, claiming that my lifestyle choices and mental instability make me unfit to manage any portion of the family trust. She looked up at me, eyes wide. He's trying to cut me off completely, Maya. Not just the foundation, everything. I moved to her side, reading over her shoulder. The legal language was dense, but the message was clear. Sebastian Rousseau wanted his sister declared incompetent to manage her own inheritance, and he was willing to drag every detail of her life, our life, through court to do it. Can he actually do this? I asked. I don't know. Maybe, She sank into her desk chair. The trust has provisions about moral character and sound judgment. They're from the 1950s. Ridiculously outdated, but they're there. If he can convince a judge that I'm unstable. You're not unstable. I left everything for a woman I'd known for 3 months. I publicly humiliated the family. I started a nonprofit that's barely breaking even. She laughed bitterly. From his perspective, maybe I am crazy. From his perspective, you're finally living your own life. That might be the same thing to him. I pulled up a chair beside her. Okay, so what do we do? She looked at me with surprise. Maya, this is my mess. I can't ask you to. You're not asking. I'm telling you. I took her hand. We're in this together. Remember, for better or worse, we're not married. Not yet. The words slipped out before I could stop them. Valentina's eyes went wide. Not yet. I felt my face flush. I just meant, eventually, maybe, if you wanted. She kissed me, cutting off my rambling. When she pulled back, she was smiling for the first time since the letter arrived. Eventually, definitely, when the timing's right, she said. But first, we need to deal with my brother. Valentina hired a lawyer, not one of the Waichu corporate firms Sebastian used, but a scrappy civil rights attorney named Diane Park who specialized in LGBTQ discrimination cases. This is bullshit, Diane said bluntly at our first meeting. Outdated, homophobic bullshit masquerading as concern for the family legacy. Can we fight it? Valentina asked. Oh, we can fight it. Whether we can win? Diane spread the documents across her desk. Your brother's smart. He's not explicitly saying this is about you being gay. He's arguing that you showed poor judgment, acted impulsively, damaged the family's business interests. He's got statements from board members, financial experts, even a psychologist who's never met you but is willing to testify about concerning patterns of behavior. That's insane, I said. That's expensive legal representation. Diane leaned back. But here's the thing. He's overplaying his hand. The more aggressively he goes after you, the more it looks like this is personal vendetta, rather than legitimate concern. And if we can prove that, what do we need? Valentina asked. Evidence that you're competent, stable, and making sound decisions, character witnesses, financial records showing the nonprofit is viable. And Diane paused. We need to make this public. The court of public opinion might be our best weapon. Valentina's face tightened. More publicity, more exposure. I know it's not ideal, but right now, Sebastian's controlling the narrative. We need to change that. That night, Valentina was quiet. We made dinner together in our tiny kitchen, pasta, with vegetables, nothing fancy, and ate mostly in silence. I could see her mind working, turning over possibilities and consequences. Talk to me, I finally said. She set down her fork. I'm scared, I know. Not just of losing the money, I'm scared of what this will do to us. She looked at me, vulnerable in a way that still surprised me. The media scrutiny will get worse. They'll dig into your life again, your family. There will be more photos, more speculation, more hate mail. And the trial. She shook her head. It could take years, Maya. Years of this being front-page news. Years of people picking apart our relationship, questioning whether we're real or just some publicity stunt. Are we real? I asked quietly. You know we are. Then that's all that matters. I reached across the table, taking her hand. Look, I'm not going to lie and say this doesn't scare me too, but I've already lost my privacy, my job, my family's respect. What else can they take? Your peace of mind, your ability to move forward with your life. My life is with you. I squeezed her hand. And maybe this is bigger than just us. How many other LGBTQ+ people have been cut off by their families? How many have lost inheritances, been declared unfit for being who they are? If we fight this publicly, maybe we can change something. Valentina smiled sadly. When did you become the idealist? When I fell in love with you. Diane arranged for us to do an interview with a major news program, the kind of in-depth primetime piece that millions would watch. Valentina was terrified. What if I say the wrong thing? She asked the night before, pacing our apartment. What if I make it worse? You're going to be great, I assured her. Just tell the truth. The truth is complicated. Then tell them the complicated truth. The interview was filmed in a neutral studio, just us and the journalist, a sharp-eyed woman named Patricia Chen, who'd built her career on tough but fair reporting. Let's start with the basics, Patricia said once the cameras were rolling. Valentina, Your brother is claiming you're mentally unstable and unfit to manage your inheritance. How do you respond to that? Valentina sat up straighter, and I saw her transform into the composed woman I'd first met at that gala. I respond that my brother is confusing independence with instability. For most of my life, I did exactly what was expected of me. I went to the right schools, married the right person, worked in the family business. I was miserable, but I was compliant, and everyone called that stable. And now I'm living authentically. I'm in love with an incredible woman. I'm running a nonprofit that actually helps people rather than just generating tax write-offs. I'm happy for the first time in years. She paused. If that's instability, then I'll take it over the alternative. Patricia turned to me. Maya, you've been called a gold digger, an opportunist, someone who targeted Valentina for her wealth. What do you say to that? I'd prepared for this question, but my heart still hammered. I say that people who've never struggled financially always assume money is everyone's primary motivation. But the truth is, I didn't even know who Valentina was when we met. I just knew she seemed lonely and real in a room full of phonies. I glanced at Valentina, and yes, the money's there. I'm not going to pretend poverty for the cameras. But if she lost everything tomorrow, I'd still be here, because I love her, not her bank account. You realize that statement will be tested, Patricia said. If Sebastian wins this case, Valentina could lose a significant portion of her inheritance. Then we'll figure it out, I said simply. Together. Patricia leaned forward. Valentina, let me ask you directly. Why do you think your brother is really doing this? Valentina was quiet for a moment. Because he's scared. Sebastian built his identity around being the strong one, the protector, the person who holds the family together after our parents died. And I was supposed to be the one who needed protecting. Her voice softened. But I don't need him anymore. I have Maya. I have a life that's mine. And I think that terrifies him. Because if I don't need him, what's his purpose? Do you miss him? Every day. Tears welled in Valentina's eyes. He's my brother. I love him. But I can't live my life for him anymore. Chapter 11. Unexpected support. The interview aired on a Thursday night. Within hours, it had been viewed millions of times online. The response was ... complicated. There were the expected trolls, the homophobes, the people who couldn't fathom why anyone would choose love over money. But there were also thousands of supportive messages from LGBTQ+ youth who saw themselves in our story, from people who'd been cut off by their own families, from allies who recognized the injustice. And then, on Saturday morning, something unexpected happened. My phone rang with a number I didn't recognize. When I answered, a polished voice said, Miss Chen, this is Caroline, Ms. Rousseau's former assistant. Is Valentina available? I handed the phone to Valentina, watching her face cycle through confusion, then shock, then something like hope. Caroline, WHAT, yes, of course. When, ... Okay, we'll be there. She hung up slowly. What was that about? I asked. Sebastian wants to meet. Tomorrow. Just him and me. She looked at me with uncertainty. Should I go? Do you want to? I don't know. Part of me does. Part of me thinks it's a trap. Then I'm coming with you. He said, just me. And I'm saying I'm coming with you. I crossed my arms. We're in this together. Remember, the meeting was at a neutral location, a private room, in a hotel restaurant. Valentina held my hand the entire elevator ride up, her palms sweaty despite her composed exterior. Sebastian was already there when we arrived. He looked older than in his photos, stress evident in the lines around his eyes. When he saw me, his jaw tightened. I said, just you, Val, and I decided Maya should be here. Valentina replied coolly, whatever you have to say to me, you can say in front of her. For a moment, I thought he'd leave, but instead, he gestured to the chairs across from him. Fine, sit. We sat. Sebastian studied us both for a long moment. I watched your interview, and Valentina's voice was guarded. And you looked happy. He said it like the words hurt. Happier than I've seen you in years. Valentina said nothing, waiting. I'm not withdrawing the lawsuit, Sebastian continued. My lawyers have advised me that would look weak, and we're too far in, but ... He paused, seeming to struggle with something. But I don't want to fight you, Val. I never wanted to fight you. Then why did you? Valentina's voice cracked slightly. Why try to destroy my life? Because I thought I was protecting you. Sebastian's composure slipped. Dad left us everything, Val. Everything. And with that came responsibility, legacy, the weight of generations. I thought you'd forgotten that. Thought you were throwing it all away. For he glanced at me. then away. For love, Valentina finished. For happiness. For a life that's actually mine. For a stranger you've known for 3 months. She's not a stranger anymore. She's my partner. My home. Valentina reached for my hand. And you're right. I am throwing away the legacy. Or at least, the version of it you want. But I'm building something new. Something that actually means something. Sebastian was quiet for a long time. Dad would have hated this. Probably. He also would have hated that you're running the company like a tyrant. But here we are. Despite everything, Sebastian almost smiled. You think I'm a tyrant. I think you're scared. I think losing mom and dad broke something in you, made you believe you had to control everything to keep the family safe. But Sebastian. Valentina leaned forward. I'm not a company you can manage. I'm your sister. And I need you to let me be myself. Even if that self disappoints you, you don't disappoint me. The words seemed to surprise him as much as us. You never disappointed me, Val. I just. I don't know how to let go. Then learn, Valentina said gently. Because I'm not coming back, not to the foundation, not to the life I had before, but I would like to have my brother back, if he can accept who I really am. Sebastian looked at me directly for the first time. You love her, truly, more than I've ever loved anyone, I said honestly. And if the money's gone, if the lawsuit ruins her, then we'll be broke together. I met his gaze steadily. I know you don't believe me. I know you think I'm some kind of con artist, but I don't need to prove anything to you. I only need to prove it to her. Sebastian studied me for another long moment, then turned back to Valentina. If I drop the lawsuit. Yes. Valentina's voice was hopeful. I need something from you, both of you. What? Dinner, once a month, with me. He looked almost embarrassed. I don't want to lose you completely, Val. You're all the family I have left. Valentina's eyes filled with tears. Once a month, to start, maybe more, if we don't kill each other. He almost smiled. And I want to see this nonprofit of yours. Understand what you're building. It won't change my mind about the family foundation, but, he shrugged, maybe there's room for both approaches. You'd do that? I'd try. Valentina stood, and for a moment, I thought she'd walk out. Instead, she circled the table and hugged her brother awkwardly at first, then tighter. Sebastian held her like she was precious, his face a mixture of relief and regret. I'm sorry, he whispered, for all of it, for trying to control you, for the lawsuit, for not seeing what you needed. I'm sorry too, Valentina replied, for not being the sister you expected, for falling apart after the divorce, for leaving. You didn't fall apart. You found yourself. Sebastian pulled back, and I saw tears on his face too. I should have celebrated that. Chapter 12, New Beginnings. Sebastian dropped the lawsuit 2 days later, releasing a statement about family reconciliation and respecting individual choices. The media had a field day with it. Some called it a victory for LGBTQ+ rights, others a publicity stunt. Still others claimed we'd manipulated him. Somehow. We stopped reading the comments. The nonprofit grew slowly but steadily. With the legal battle behind us, we could focus on the actual work, getting art supplies into underfunded schools, creating after-school programs, connecting kids with mentors. It was exhausting, underpaid, and the most meaningful work either of us had ever done. True to his word, Sebastian came to dinner once a month. The first few were stilted, awkward affairs where we mostly made small talk about weather and current events. But gradually, something shifted. He started asking about our work, offering connections and advice. He met our team, seemed genuinely impressed by what we were building. You know, he said one evening over dessert, the foundation does have a budget for educational initiatives. If you wanted to apply for a grant. Valentina nearly choked on her wine. Are you serious? Completely serious. Your program has good metrics, solid outcomes. It's exactly the kind of work we should be funding. He paused. If you're interested, of course, no pressure. We're interested, I said quickly, before Valentina could overthink it. Sebastian smiled, a real smile, not the corporate one I'd seen in photos. Good. I'll have my people send over the application materials. After he left, Valentina turned to me with wonder in her eyes. Did that just happen? I think your brother just offered us money. I think my brother just came back to me. 6 months later, the foundation approved our grant, not a massive amount, but enough to expand into 3 more schools. Sebastian even showed up to the announcement event, standing in the back and applauding when Valentina gave her speech. He's trying, Valentina said that night as we walked home through Brooklyn, her hand warm in mine. He is. I agreed. Do you think he'll ever really accept us? Understand what we have? Maybe, maybe not. But he's showing up. That's something. Valentina stopped walking, pulling me into an empty storefront alcove. The city hummed around Uskar horns, distant music, the eternal pulse of New York. Maya Chen, she said seriously, I have a question for you. My heart started racing. Okay, we said eventually, definitely. When the timing's right. She reached into her coat pocket, pulling out a small velvet box. I think the timing's right. I stared at the box, then at her face, then back at the box. Valentina, I know we said we'd wait until things were stable, but I've realized things are never going to be completely stable. There's always going to be another crisis, another challenge, another reason to wait. She opened the box, revealing a simple silver band with a small diamond. But I don't want to wait anymore. I want to build our life together, officially, legally, forever. You're proposing to me in a random storefront in Brooklyn. I'm proposing to you in our neighborhood, where we belong, where we're building our life. She smiled nervously. Is that okay? I kissed her instead of answering, deep and long, not caring who saw or what photos might end up online. When I pulled back, I was crying. Yes, obviously yes. How could the answer be anything but yes? She slipped the ring onto my finger, a perfect fit. Because of course she'd figured out my size, somehow, and we stood there in the Brooklyn night, holding each other like we were the only two people in the world. I love you, she whispered. My brave, beautiful Maya. I love you too, I replied. My finally free Valentina. The wedding was small, just 40 people in a community garden in Brooklyn. Officiated by Diane Park, who'd gotten ordained online specifically for the occasion. Carmen was my maid of honor, openly weeping through the entire ceremony. Sebastian stood beside Valentina as her best man, looking uncomfortable in his suit but sincerely happy. Do you, Valentina Rousseau, take Maya Chen to be your lawfully wedded wife? Diane asked. I do, Valentina said clearly, her eyes never leaving mine. And do you, Maya Chen, take Valentina Rousseau to be your lawfully wedded wife? I do. Then, by the power vested in me by the internet and the state of New York, I now pronounce you married. Kiss already. We did. The reception was held in our nonprofit's office, cramped and chaotic, with catered food from the Thai place we loved, and music from someone's Spotify playlist. It was nothing like the society weddings Valentina had attended her whole life, and everything like us. Sebastian pulled me aside during the dancing. Can we talk? We stepped outside into the cool evening air. He looked uncomfortable, but determined. I owe you an apology, he said. A real one, okay? I said cautiously. I treated you like a threat, like someone who was stealing my sister. He met my eyes. But you didn't steal her, you freed her. And in doing that, you kind of freed me too, made me realize how much of my own life was about control rather than connection. Sebastian let me finish. He took a breath. Your family now, officially, and I want to do better by you, by both of you. So, he pulled out an envelope. This is a check for the nonprofit. Call it a wedding present. I opened it, then nearly dropped it. The amount had 5 zeros. This is too much, I said immediately. It's exactly enough to expand into 10 more schools. He smiled slightly. I've been following your metrics. You're doing good work, Maya. Real, measurable good. And I want to support that. Thank you, I managed. Thank you, he replied, for making my sister happy. For fighting for her when I was too stupid to support her. For he paused. For showing me what real courage looks like. He hugged me, then brief and awkward, but genuine. And when we went back inside, Valentina took one look at my face and raised an eyebrow. What did my brother say to you? He gave us a wedding present. How much? I showed her the check. She gasped. He's really trying, she said wonderingly. He really is. It was a Tuesday morning when my phone rang with a number I hadn't seen in 2 years. I stared at it, frozen, until Valentina looked up from her coffee. Who is it? My mother, I whispered. The phone kept ringing. Valentina reached across our kitchen table and squeezed my hand. You don't have to answer. But I did. Something in me needed to know why, after all this time, she was calling now. Hello, Maya. My mother's voice was exactly as I remembered, careful, controlled, with that particular tone that meant she was uncomfortable but determined. I hope I'm not calling at a bad time, Mom. I couldn't quite keep the emotion out of my voice. Why are you calling? I saw the wedding photos. Your cousin Sarah posted them on Facebook. A pause. You looked beautiful. I waited, not trusting myself to speak. your father and we'd been talking about a lot of things, about how we handled everything when you came out, about the things we said, the things we didn't say." Her voice cracked. "We made mistakes, Maya. Bad ones. Yes, you did." The words came out sharper than I intended, but I didn't take them back. I know we hurt you. And I know a phone call doesn't fix that. But," she took a shaky breath, "but I was wondering if maybe we could try to talk, to start over, or at least to understand each other better." Valentina was watching me carefully, her expression supportive but leaving the decision entirely to me. "Why now?" I asked, after 2 years of silence. "Why call now?" "Because I'm getting older, Maya, and I realized I might not have time to fix this. I might not have time to tell you that I'm sorry, that I was wrong, she was crying now, that I miss my daughter." The words hit me like a physical blow. I felt tears streaming down my own face. "I miss you too," I admitted. "But Mom, you hurt me. You and Dad, both. You made me feel like I was broken. Like loving someone meant I was choosing them over family. You weren't broken. You aren't broken." My mother's voice was fierce now, and I'm ashamed it took me this long to say that, to see that. "Your wife seems like a lovely person, and the work you're doing, the nonprofit, Maya, I'm so proud of you." I couldn't speak. Valentina handed me a tissue. "I'm not asking for forgiveness," my mother continued. "Not yet. Maybe not ever. But I'm asking for a chance to meet Valentina, to hear about your life, to try to be part of it again, if you'll let me." I looked at Valentina, who nodded encouragingly. "Okay," I said finally. "Okay, we can try. But Mom, it's going to take time, and you have to accept us, really accept us. Not just tolerate us." "I understand. And Maya, I love you. I should have said that first. I love you, and I'm sorry." My parents came to New York 3 weeks later. We met at a casual restaurant in our neighborhood, neutral ground, public enough to feel safe but quiet enough for conversation. My father looked older than I remembered, gray at his temples and lines around his eyes that hadn't been there before. My mother twisted her napkin nervously. Valentina sat beside me, her hand finding mine under the table. "Mr. and Mrs. Chen," Valentina said, extending her free hand. "It's wonderful to finally meet you. Maya's told me so much about you." My mother shook her hand, studying Valentina with the careful attention I remembered from childhood. "You're much taller than in the photos, Mom," I warned. "No, it's fine," Valentina said easily. "I am tall, 6 feet in heels, which Maya finds both impressive and occasionally inconvenient when we're trying to share an umbrella." My father almost smiled. "You make my daughter happy." "I try to," Valentina replied. "She makes me happier than I knew was possible." "Good." He nodded once, firmly. "That's good." The conversation was stilted at first, full of long pauses and careful topics. The weather, New York, my parents' flight. But gradually, something shifted. My mother asked about the nonprofit, and Valentina lit up describing our latest program. My father asked about my work, and I found myself talking about the kids we helped, the impact we were seeing. "You always loved art," my mother said softly. "Even as a little girl, you'd spend hours drawing, painting. I used to worry you'd never find a practical career with that degree. Turns out I found something better than practical," I said. "I found meaningful." "Yes," she agreed. "Yes, you did." Toward the end of the meal, my father cleared his throat, always a sign he was about to say something important. "We handled everything wrong," he said gruffly. "When you came out, when you left, your mother and we were scared, didn't understand, but that's not an excuse." He looked at me directly. "You're our daughter. That should have been enough, should have been everything." "Dad, let me finish." He swallowed hard. "I'm proud of you, Maya, of who you are, who you've become, of this woman you chose, and this life you built, and I'm sorry it took me so long to say it." I was crying openly now. So was my mother. Even Valentina had tears in her eyes. "I'd like us to try again," my father continued. "If you're willing, I'd like to know my daughter again. And her wife. I'd like that too." I managed to. My mother reached across the table, taking my hand. "We'll do better. I promise we'll do better." After they left, Valentina and I walked home through the Brooklyn evening, her arm around my shoulders. "That was big," she said quietly. "That was terrifying. But good." "But good," I leaned into her. "Thank you for being there, for being so graceful with them. They're your parents. They love you. They just needed time to catch up to who you really are." She kissed my temple. "Besides, I liked them. Your mother has your eyes. Your father has your stubbornness. I'm not stubborn. You're the most stubborn person I know." It's one of the things I love about you. We walked in comfortable silence for a few blocks. Then Valentina spoke again. Speaking of parents, Sebastian called today. Oh, he wants to have a family dinner. All of us, you, me, him, your parents if they're still in town, Aunt Marie. She paused. He said something about wanting to build real family connections, not just business relationships. I stopped walking, looking at her in surprise. Sebastian said that, I know, character development. She smiled. What do you think? Is it too much? Too soon? I said slowly. I think it's perfect. Weird and awkward and potentially disastrous, but perfect. So that's a yes. That's a yes. While our families were slowly rebuilding, Valentina and I were navigating a different kind of family building, the foster-to-adopt process. The home studies were invasive and exhausting. Social workers examined every aspect of our lives, finances, our relationship, our childhoods, our motivations. They interviewed our friends, our co-workers, even Sebastian, who apparently gave us a glowing recommendation. They asked me if I thought you were stable. He told Valentina over one of our monthly dinners. I told them you were the most stable person I knew, that you'd walked away from everything to build something real and meaningful, that any kid would be lucky to have you as a mother. Valentina's eyes filled with tears. You said that? I meant it. He looked between us. You're both going to be amazing parents. I'm actually a little jealous of whoever ends up with you. The approval process took 6 months. 6 months of classes on trauma-informed parenting, on attachment disorders, on the reality of fostering children who'd been through hell. It was sobering and sometimes overwhelming. What if we're not ready? Valentina asked one night after a particularly intense class on behavioral issues. Nobody's ever ready, I replied, but we're committed. We're stable. We have resources and support and love. That's more than a lot of foster kids ever get. What if they don't like us? Then we'll figure it out. Together. I pulled her close. We've faced harder things than a kid having mixed feelings about us, have we? We survived your brother trying to sue you, and my family disowning me. I think we can handle a teenager with attitude. She laughed despite her anxiety. You're right. We've got this. The call came on a Thursday afternoon. I was in a meeting when my phone buzzed with Valentina's ringtone. She never called during work hours unless it was important. Hold on, I told the team, stepping into the hallway. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong, Maya. They found her. Valentina's voice was breathless with excitement and fear. The social worker just called. There's a girl, 13, been in the system for 2 years. She's in a group home right now, but they think we might be a good match. My heart hammered. Tell me about her. Her name's Jade. She's into art, music. Smart but struggling in school because of the instability. She's been through 4 placements in 2 years. Valentina paused. She's also queer. Maya. Came out last year, and apparently that's part of why her last placement didn't work out. I felt something tighten in my chest. A queer kid, struggling, rejected by families who should have protected her. It felt painfully familiar. When can we meet her? This weekend, if we're ready, if we think. Valentina's voice wavered. Are we ready? Yes, I said firmly. Absolutely yes. When and where? The meeting was arranged at our nonprofit office neutral ground where Jade could see the work we did without the pressure of visiting our home. The social worker, a kind-faced woman named Teresa, brought her at 2 o'clock on Saturday. Jade was small for 13, with purple-streaked hair and a guarded expression that made my heart hurt. She wore ripped jeans and a hoodie, despite the warm weather, and her eyes catalogued everything: the exits, the windows, us. Jade, these are Maya and Valentina, Teresa said gently, the couple I told you about. Hey, Jade said, not quite meeting our eyes. Hi, Jade, Valentina said warmly. Thanks for coming. Would you like something to drink? We have soda, juice, water. Water's fine. We settled awkwardly around our conference table, us on one side, Jade and Teresa on the other, like a negotiation, instead of a potential family meeting. So Teresa says you're into art. I tried. Jade shrugged. I guess. Maya has a degree in art history, Valentina offered. She can talk for hours about paintings. It's actually kind of adorable how nerdy she gets. That got almost a smile. What kind of art? All kinds, I said. But I have a special love for the Impressionists. Monet, Degas, Cassatt. There's something about the way they captured light and movement. I like street art better, Jade said. Like Banksy and stuff. Art that means something, you know. Not just pretty pictures. Street art absolutely means something, I agreed. It's political, raw, accessible. Some of the most powerful art is happening on city walls right now. Jade looked at me properly for the first time, reassessing. Most adults hate street art, say it's vandalism. Some of it is vandalism. Some of it's art. Sometimes it's both. I smiled. The world isn't as black and white as people want it to be. Yeah, Jade said quietly. It's really not. Valentina pulled out her phone. Can I show you something? She scrolled through photos, then turned the screen to Jade. This is from a project we did last year. Kids in one of our programs painted a mural on their school themes of identity, belonging, finding your place. It took 3 months and covered an entire wall. Jade studied the photo, something shifting in her expression. That's cool. One of the girls who worked on it is a lot like you, I said carefully. Smart, talented, struggling to find where she fits. Art gave her a way to express things she couldn't say out loud. Teresa told you, Jade said flatly, about me being gay. She told us, you're queer, yes. Valentina's voice was gentle. So are we. Maya and I are married. Jade looked between us, then at Teresa, suspicion clear on her face. Is that why you're doing this? Like, charity case, for the gay kid? No, I said firmly. We're doing this because we want to be parents. Because we have space in our home and our lives for someone who needs family. The fact that you're queer isn't why we want you, but it does mean we understand some of what you've been through. You don't know what I've been through. You're right, we don't. But I know what it's like to be rejected by family for who you are, to feel like you don't belong anywhere. I held her gaze. And I know what it's like to finally find people who see you and accept you exactly as you are. That's what we're offering, if you want it. Jade was quiet for a long moment. What if I'm too much? What if I mess up or get angry, or then we'll figure it out, Valentina said. That's what families do. They work through the hard stuff together. All my other placements gave up on me. We won't, I promised. We're stubborn like that. That got a real smile, small but genuine. Teresa said you guys stood up to your families, that you picked each other, even when everyone said you shouldn't. We did, Valentina confirmed. That's pretty badass. We think so too. Jade looked at Teresa, then back at us. Can I think about it? Of course, Teresa said. This is your decision, Jade. Take all the time you need. But before we left, Jade turned back to me. Do you really think street art matters? I think all art matters, I said honestly. Especially art that comes from people who need to be heard. Cool, she hesitated. Then added, maybe you could show me some of those paintings sometime, the Impressionist ones. If I decide to, I'd love that, I said, my heart swelling with hope. Jade moved in 3 weeks later. It wasn't seamless, nothing about fostering ever is. She tested boundaries constantly, stayed up too late, refused to eat vegetables, and had nightmares that woke the whole apartment. She was defensive, sarcastic, and painfully vulnerable in turns. But she was also funny, creative, and desperately hungry for stability. Is this really my room? She asked on her first day, standing in the doorway of the space we'd prepared. We'd painted it a soft gray at Teresa's suggestion, neutral, calming, and added a desk, bookshelves, and art supplies. Really yours, Valentina confirmed. You can decorate it however you want. Put up posters, paint, whatever makes it feel like home. I've never had my own room before, Jade admitted quietly. Always shared, or moved before I could settle in. Well, this one's yours, I said, for as long as you want it. She didn't say anything, just set down her garbage bag of belongings and sat on the bed, testing the mattress. After a moment, she lay back, staring at the ceiling. It's soft, she said. Good soft or bad soft? Good soft. She sat up quickly, like she'd revealed too much. Where do you want me to put my stuff? Wherever you want, Valentina said. Dresser, closet, under the bed, it's all yours. We left her to unpack, giving her space to adjust. In the kitchen, Valentina grabbed my hand. She's so small, she whispered. God, Maya, she's so young, and she's been through so much. We'll take care of her, I promised. We'll show her what stable looks like. What if we mess up? Then we'll apologize and do better. I kissed her forehead, one day at a time, remember. The first few weeks were an adjustment for everyone. Jade had trust issues, understandably, and kept waiting for the other shoe to drop. She'd break something, a glass, a rule, a promise, and then brace for punishment that never came. I'm really sorry, she said after coming home, an hour past curfew one night. I know you're going to send me back now. We're not sending you back, Valentina said firmly, but we are going to talk about why you broke curfew and what the consequence should be. Consequence? Jade looked confused. You broke a rule. There needs to be a consequence, but the consequence isn't losing your home. I pulled out a chair at the kitchen table. Sit, talk to us. Why were you late? Jade sat reluctantly. I was with some kids from school, lost track of time. Were you safe? Yeah. Did you think about calling to let us know you'd be late? She looked down. I didn't think you'd care. That hit like a punch. Valentina reached across the table, touching Jade's hand gently. We care very much. When you're late and don't call, we worry. We imagine all the terrible things that could happen, and we feel helpless. Her voice was kind but firm. So the consequence is this. Next time you'll be late, you call, and for the next week, curfew is 30 minutes earlier, so you can practice being on time. Jade looked up, surprised. That's it. That's it. Unless you think we should add more. No, that's fair. She paused. You're really not sending me back. Really not. I confirmed. Jade, you're going to mess up sometimes. We're going to mess up sometimes. That's part of being a family. But we're committed to figuring it out together. Tears filled her eyes. Nobody's ever been committed to me before. Well, we are, Valentina said, so you're stuck with us. Jade laughed through her tears. Stuck with you. That sounds good actually. 3 months in, Jade's school called. She'd been in a fight. Valentina and I rushed to the principal's office, where Jade sat slumped in a chair, her knuckles bruised and her expression mutinous. What happened? I asked, sitting beside her. Some kid was being an asshole, Jade muttered. Language, Valentina said automatically. Some kid was being a jerk, Jade amended. Happy. The principal, a stern woman named Mrs. Rodriguez, folded her hands. Jade punched another student. That's grounds for suspension. What did the other student do? Valentina asked coolly. That's not. It's absolutely relevant, Valentina interrupted. If someone provoked Jade, we need to know what happened before we discuss consequences. Mrs. Rodriguez sighed. The other student made some inappropriate comments about Jade's family situation. What kind of comment? I pressed. Jade spoke up, her voice tight with anger. He said I was being raised by dykes, who probably molested me. He said that's why I was messed up. Ice flooded my veins. Beside me, Valentina went very still in the way she did when she was furious. And what consequence is that student facing? Valentina asked quietly. He's being spoken to about appropriate language. Spoken to? Valentina's voice could have cut glass. My daughter was verbally assaulted with homophobic slurs, and the other student is being spoken to. Now Mrs. Rousseau, it's Mrs. Rousseau-chan actually, and I want to be very clear. Valentina leaned forward. If this school's policy is to punish students for defending themselves against bigotry while giving the bigots a talking to, we're going to have a serious problem. Violence is never the answer. Neither is allowing hate speech. I cut in. Jade shouldn't have hit him. We'll address that. But that boy shouldn't have said what he said. And you need to address that too, with actual consequences. Mrs. Rodriguez looked between us, then at Jade. This is Jade's third behavioral incident this semester. Because she's adjusting to a new home, a new school, and a new life, Valentina said. She needs support, not punishment. She needs to learn to control her anger. She needs to learn that adults will protect her, I countered. Which means when someone attacks her with homophobic slurs, the school needs to take it seriously. The meeting ended with a compromise. Jade would serve 1 day of in-school suspension and attend anger management counseling. The other student would serve 3 days of out-of-school suspension and mandatory diversity training. In the car afterward, Jade was quiet. I'm sorry, she finally said. I know I shouldn't have hit him. No, you shouldn't have, Valentina agreed. But we understand why you did. You do. Of course we do. I turned in my seat to look at her. What he said was vile and hurtful. And you were protecting yourself and us. That doesn't make hitting him right, but it makes it understandable. I was so angry, Jade whispered. He doesn't even know you guys. He doesn't know anything about us, but he thought he could just say that stuff. People are going to say stuff, Valentina said gently. About you, about us, about our family. It's unfair, and it's wrong, but it's going to happen, and we need to find better ways to deal with it than violence. Like what? Like using your words, like walking away, like telling a teacher or telling us. I paused, like remembering that people who say hateful things are usually scared or ignorant or both. They're not worth your energy. But what if I can't control it? The anger? Then we'll work on it together, Valentina promised. That's what the counseling is for. And Jade, she caught her eye in the rearview mirror. We're not ashamed of you. We're not disappointed. We're on your side. Jade nodded, swiping at her eyes. Thanks, moms. The word hung in the air, plural, casual, like she'd been saying it her whole life instead of for the first time. Valentina pulled over, put the car in park, and turned around to look at Jade properly. Did you just call us moms? She asked softly. Jade flushed. Is that okay? I mean, I know I'm just fostering, and you might not want. It's more than okay, I said, my voice thick. It's perfect. Really, Valentina confirmed, reaching back to squeeze her hand. You can call us whatever you're comfortable with, but moms, that's an honor. Jade smiled, not the guarded, careful smile we usually got, but a real one, bright and genuine and young. Cool, she said, because you're kind of the best parents I've ever had. We're the only parents you've ever had, I pointed out. Exactly, so you're winning by default. We all laughed, and in that moment, sitting in a parked car on a random Brooklyn street, we became a family, not through paperwork or legalities, but through choice and commitment and love. 8 months after Jade moved in, Teresa called with news. Jade's birth mother had terminated her parental rights. There would be no more reunification attempts. Jade was officially available for adoption. How does Jade feel about this? Valentina asked immediately. Mixed, Teresa admitted, relieved but also grieving. It's complicated. We talked to Jade that evening. The three of us curled up on our couch, a tradition we'd developed for important conversations. Teresa told you? Jade asked. She told us the legal situation, I said carefully, but we want to hear how you're feeling. Jade picked at the sleeve of her hoodie. I don't know. Part of me always hoped my bio mom would get it together, you know, that she'd get clean and come back from me, even though I knew she wouldn't. That's completely normal, Valentina said, but also, I'm glad, because it means I can stay here. I can really be yours. She looked up at us, vulnerable. If you still want me, if we still want you, I repeated, incredulous. Jade, of course we still want you. We've wanted you since the day we met you. So you'd want to adopt me, like, make it official. We'd be honored to adopt you, Valentina said, if that's what you want. It is. Jade's voice was small. I want to be your daughter. Real, official, forever. Then, that's what we'll do, I promised. The adoption process took another 6 months, paperwork, court dates, more evaluations, but finally, on a sunny April morning, we stood in a courthouse with Jade between us, Teresa smiling in the front row, and a judge who looked genuinely happy. Do you, Jade Marie Chen, agree to be adopted by Maya Russo Chen and Valentina Russo? I do, Jade said clearly. And do you, Maya and Valentina Russo Chen, agree to adopt Jade Marie Chen as your legal daughter, with all the rights and responsibilities that entails? We do, Valentina and I said in unison. Then, by the power vested in me by the state of New York, I officially declare this adoption finalized. Congratulations, family. Jade launched herself at us, and we caught her, holding tight while she cried happy tears into our shoulders. I have parents, she kept saying. I actually have parents. You absolutely do, I whispered. Forever and always. We celebrated with a small party at the nonprofit tower. Chosen family, coming together to welcome the newest member, Carmen, Teresa, Aunt Mari. Even Sebasti showed up, bringing an ridiculously expensive art kit for Jade. For my niece, he said gruffly. All artists need good supplies. Jade hugged him, surprising everyone, including Sebastian. Thanks, Uncle Sebastian. He looked stunned, then pleased. You're welcome, Jade. My parents were there too. Having flown in from Seattle, my mother cried through the whole party, telling anyone who would listen about her granddaughter. My father taught Jade card tricks, solemn and patient. This is weird, Jade said to me at one point, watching everyone mingle. Good weird or bad weird? Good weird, like, I have grandparents now, and an uncle, and all these people who actually care. She looked up at me. Is this what normal families are like? I don't know if any family is normal, I said honestly, but this is what our family is like. Complicated and loving and there for each other. I like it, she decided. Good. Because you're stuck with us now. Official and everything. She grinned. The best thing I've ever been stuck with. I found Valentina in Jade's room, soon to be Jade's former room, helping pack for college. Our daughter was 18 now, headed to NYU on a scholarship for art and social justice. She'd grown 6 inches, dyed her hair a dozen different colors, and become a fierce advocate for LGBTQ+ youth and foster care reform. Mom, have you seen my sketchbook? The blue one. Check your backpack, Valentina called. You put it there this morning. Found it, thanks. I leaned against the doorframe, watching them work. The walls were covered with Jade's art, now murals, paintings, photographs documenting her journey from scared 13-year-old to confident young woman. Can you believe she's leaving? Valentina asked quietly. No, feels like yesterday she was testing every boundary and calling us by our first names. And now she's off to change the world. She already is changing the world. I moved to sit beside Valentina on Jade's bed. We raised a pretty amazing human. We did, didn't we? Jade came back in, dropping another box on her bed. Okay, serious question. Is it weird that I'm nervous? Like I've been in foster care, survived group homes, dealt with homophobes. Why am I scared of college? Because it's new, I said. And because unlike those other things, you're actually excited about this. When you care about something, it's scarier. That's annoyingly wise, Jade said. I have my moments. She sat between us, the way she still did when she needed comfort. What if I mess up? What if I'm not ready? Then you'll call us, Valentina said, and we'll help you figure it out. That's not going to change just because you're at college. Promise, promise, you're stuck with us forever. Remember, Jade smiled. The best thing I've ever been stuck with. Later that night, after Jade had gone to bed, Valentina and I sat on our tiny balcony, watching the Brooklyn lights. Do you ever think about that first gala? She asked. Where we met. Sometimes. Do you? All the time. She laced her fingers through mine. I was so lost that night, so convinced my life was just going to be endless obligation and loneliness. And then this beautiful woman saw me, really saw me, and everything changed. I was just a caterer passing Kanafti. You were never just anything. She kissed my temple. You were brave and real and exactly what I needed. We were what each other needed, I corrected. Yes, we were. She was quiet for a moment. The nonprofit is expanding again. We got funding for 15 more schools. That's amazing. Sebastian wants to partner with us on a national initiative, Foster Youth Arts Program, fully funded by the foundation. I looked at her in surprise. Really, he said. Watching Jade grow changed his perspective on a lot of things, made him realize the foundation could do more than just write checks. It could actually transform lives. Character development, I said, echoing her words from years ago. So much character development. She smiled. My parents would be proud, I think, of what we've built, what we're building. I think so too. We sat in comfortable silence, holding hands, watching our neighborhood wind down for the night. Somewhere inside, our daughter slept peacefully in her own bed, secure in the knowledge that she was loved and wanted and home. Hey, Valentina. Yeah, I love our life. Me too. She squeezed my hand. Me too. And in Brooklyn, under the endless New York sky, a family built not from blood but from choice, not from tradition but from courage held each other close and dreamed of tomorrow. The end had become a beginning, and the price of everything had turned out to be worth nothing compared to the value of love.